What's up, guys? Today we're working on the Miata because I'm dying to get this thing roadworthy and finally start putting some miles on it. Now, before we can get this thing on the road, we have to deal with a few different issues. The biggest one is the factory wheels on this thing, these lame little 16-inch wheels. Now, yes, I did drive around in that first little test drive on these wheels, but the tires are dry rotted. There's one that keeps going flat, and I really just don't like 16s. There aren't a lot of good tire options. There's way more if you go down to a 15. That's exactly what we're gonna do. Keeping in the theme of this being a budget build, I found some wheels on Facebook Marketplace. It was actually 3 wheels, and they're 15 by 8, funky little reps of something. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of the color, so we will be painting those. Rachel's gonna help me out with that. Yeah, that color just doesn't go too well with the red. But I got all 3 of these wheels with tires for 60 bucks on Facebook Marketplace. Shout out to the dude Evan who I picked these up from. If you're watching this, thanks bro, they're gonna get put to good use. Now, those are gonna be perfect for the rear, especially since they came with tires. They are perfect burners, perfect spares, and we've got an extra one in case we dirt drop and bend a wheel or something like that. But when it comes to the front, I wanted something a little bit cooler, because typically the front wheels are what's gonna stay on the car, which means you can get a cool wheel and a better tire. So let me show you what we got.
For front wheels, we got a cool set of old school Yokohama AVS VS6, and they're wrapped in Federal 595 RS Pros.
Now, before we throw these on the car, I wanna clean them up because they are a little dirty. They sat around a long time before I got them. And for that, we're gonna turn to our friends over at Dirty's Detail Lab because they have some awesome wheel cleaner that works really well.
Dirty's Detail Lab's Hub Scrub Tire and Wheel Cleaner, making this job so easy. You spray it on, you let it sit for 30 to 60 seconds, agitate it with a brush if your wheels are real dirty like these are, and simply spray it off. It's that easy, and they came out so good. Super stoked on how well these wheels cleaned up. Be sure to check him out on Instagram. We're doing a giveaway together where you can win some of his products and some of my merch, so be sure to check that out.
These wheels are 4x114.3. Miata is 4x100, so we need to run adapters. Now, the guy that I bought these wheels from was kind enough to give these to me because he actually had these on a Miata, and I just went to throw the wheels on and realized I don't have an extra set of lug nuts. I only have the factory lug nuts that came on the car. Normally when you buy spacers or adapters, they come with an extra set of lug nuts that are a little bit shorter, so they fit in this little pocket here, and this doesn't have that. If we put a factory lug nut in this little pocket here, you can see it just sticks out over the top, meaning the wheel can't sit flush on this adapter, so you can't bolt the wheel on. So that's annoying. I'm gonna run to the parts store and see if they have the right lug nuts. Let's go see if we get lucky at AutoZone. Got lucky, local AutoZone had what I needed. Let me show you the difference and we'll get these front wheels on. Stock lug nut, this is a parts store one, open-ended, no little cap on the top like this one. When we put it in the spacer, you can see, you can't see it. See, it's tucked in there. So now it is flush or below where the spacer is. So that means the wheel won't make contact with it and we're good. All right, quick look, the car's still up on jack stands. Love these wheels. Love the meaty fitment. But we're gonna have to roll the fenders. Now this wheel well already does not have a fender liner. It was falling out because it was broken, so I ripped it out. But the other side still has the plastic wheel well fender guard thing in there. So I'm gonna pull that out while the car's still on jack stands, and then we'll get this thing on the ground. It actually surprised me how aggressive these wheels fit, because the AVS wheels are 15 by 6.5 plus 30. These adapters are 1 inch, so 25 mil give or take. So let's call the wheels 6.5 plus 5. I didn't think that would be that aggressive on this car. It's kind of funny, but I think it's gonna look really cool, especially once we get some real suspension on this thing, get it a little lower, maybe get some camber in the front, a cool angle kit. Definitely talking like far in the future here, but excited to see this thing back on the ground, and it just gets us one step closer to putting some miles on this thing. All right, got that out in one piece. Now let's get this thing back on the ground. All right, so before we can drive it, we need to get a battery in this thing. It currently doesn't have one, and it doesn't have a battery tie down either because we have a little bit of an issue. So let me show you how to fix this. If we look in here, there's a bolt that broke off in the actual trunk. This is where the battery tie down bolts to right there. So we've got to get this bolt out. Now the easiest way to fix this is going to be with a welder. Now before we weld it, let's get this cleaned up. I'll show you how easy this can come out. So before we can weld to anything, obviously we have to clean it. So my favorite, torch and wire wheel. All right, so we're just gonna weld a nut to that broken off little stud. So if you see I found a nut that fit it just perfectly. Just gonna fill the inside of that up with weld. It should get the actual broken bolt really hot. And then while it's hot, we'll get a wrench on there and hopefully it'll come right out. Now with any luck, this will come out. Nope. Tried to be nice. I thought it was gonna work with a welder and it didn't. So we are resorting to barbaric ways of getting this out, or rather just making a new hole. Not what I wanted to do, but it's gonna work. Now that we've drilled a massive hole in this thing, we're gonna just put a riv nut in there and replace the threads we just drilled out. So we put a little bit of self-etching primer on there just because it was bare metal. Throw our new riv nut in there, and now we have a nice bit of threads. We can put our battery tie down back in. Now that all that's done, we can finally put a battery in this thing, and I'm done borrowing a battery from the Z. I'm excited to announce we've partnered with Optima Batteries, and we've got a brand new AGM yellow top for our Miata. Also want to highlight one little thing we did off camera. Now we hope we'll be able to drive this thing on the street and actually enjoy it as like a normal car and not just a track car. And when we got it, it had no radio, no anything in it, just a hole where the radio used to be. So a few nights ago, Rachel and I put the radio in. She actually did all the wiring herself. I showed her how the wiring diagrams work, how to match them all up, how to use butt connectors, heat shrink, and all that fun stuff. And now we got a working radio in this thing. And it's actually pretty cool looking. Cool little retro style radio. Works great, has Bluetooth, aux, charging, all the normal stuff. Rachel picked it out. I think it looks great, sounds great, and so far it works great. I'll put a link down below if you guys are interested. It was just a cheap head unit we found on Amazon. I mean, it was like 20 or 30 bucks. So if you want a cool looking retro radio for your car, maybe that'll work. While I'm waiting for Rachel to show up, I want to fix a problem that her and I both have. That's because we're both pretty tall and Miatas are pretty small. This is an issue. Like, that's my foot on the gas pedal, clutch pedal. Like, I can kind of adjust a little bit, but not a whole lot. Now, I could live with it, but you could also fix it. Little trick, if your stock steering wheel is on there pretty good, you don't want to sit here and just yank at it, because when it does come off, it'll pop you in the face. So give it a couple hits. Do the same from the back side. And it usually pops right off just like that. All right, so to get our new steering wheel hub on, I had to remove the plastics little clamshell that goes around the steering column. And we're gonna have to take out the clock spring because the hub I got has no provision for it. This is a cheap hub off Amazon. Koyo Star is the brand. I have the same hub in the Z. I gotta say it fits good, it works good. It's literally like an NRG copy. Good quality for like half the price. So if you're on a budget, I would suggest this. I'll put a link down in the description if you need one for your car. They make them for pretty much everything. But back to the clock spring. It's only held on by 3 screws. I already pulled those off. Get this guy out of here. Unplug the harness. Now we can get that out of here and get our hub on. Cool enough, this hub does have provisions for the turn signal cancel thing, which is this plastic thing. See the way that works. So we'll line this up with these 2 holes and toss it on. All right, after looking at this a little closer, the 2 pegs that are for this turn signal cancel thingy, they don't quite line up. I got one lined up and then the other one's maybe 1/8 of an inch above this. So it's preventing the hub from sitting completely flush. So I just took some snips, cut the top one off. I'm gonna leave the bottom one on and we'll see if that fits. That's it, perfect, fits good. Put this thing back together. Now we could just put a steering wheel on here and be done, but I like having the option of a quick release. For that we went with NRG. Now while I am okay with going for a cheap Amazon or eBay hub, I'm not okay with going cheap on a quick release. There are quite a lot of moving parts. I have seen these things fail, whereas cheap hubs I've had such good luck with, and so have all my friends. So do yourself the favor, spend a little extra money on a legit quick release. This actually is the one from the Z. It's not brand new, but it'll get the job done. I ended up putting a new SFI one in the Z. So we've got the regular standard one for this thing. We'll get this guy bolted on, and then we'll start looking at some wheel options. Now for steering wheels, we have a few options. The main question that comes to my mind is what size? Do I want a 330 mil, which will be pretty small, but it'll give us the most room? Do I want a 350 mil? That's kind of the common steering wheel size. I'm sure it'll still feel fine, but it'll be a little less room. I'd happen to have a handful of steering wheels on hand because I am a little bit of a collector when it comes to these things. But before I open the box and knock the dust off some of these old things I've been collecting, I'm just gonna steal the steering wheel out of my daily, and let's see how that works. Okay, if you don't know, my daily, a Honda Fit, and this just happens to have a personal 330. Love this steering wheel. Now it is on a Workspell quick release, but I think they're the same. Let's go chuck this in the Miata and see how it feels. Yep, it's the same. So again, this is a 330 mil, a lot more space. Let me hop in there and see how it feels. Way more leg room. I think this is gonna be the way to go. Thankfully, I had a 330 in my stash. We've got an OG Nardi Classic, all black. This was reserved for another build, but that's not gonna get started for a while, and you guys don't even know about it. So we're gonna borrow it for a little bit, throw it in the Miata. I think it'll be a nice fit. Okay, obviously a Nardi Classic is my favorite steering wheel, but what do you think?
Hi, my name is Rachel and I approve of the steering wheel.
Are you ready to finish the maintenance on this thing?
Yes, we are.
All right, we're gonna start with spark plugs. Something easy. Who knows how long these things have been in there, so let's get them swapped out. 1 down, 4 to go. One last thing before we can take this thing out for a drive, we have to at least throw some toe plates on it, make sure the alignment is good enough, especially now that we have some sporty front tires. These things will wear out pretty fast if the alignment's off. So let's see where we're at. Alignment's good, wasn't too far off. Just putting the strut tower bar back on. We took that off to do the spark plugs.
Learning.
Well, I think the abandoned Miata is just about ready for the road. Thing fires right up, runs perfectly, drives great. The alignment that we did the other night feels good. There's still a few little things I have to do before I can really start enjoying this car on the road, mostly go to the DMV and do all that boring paperwork stuff. But aside from that, I think the car is good. Now we're still a little ways away from bringing this thing to the track. I want to put some miles on it and make sure it's actually going to be reliable, and it does need a roll bar at bare minimum, but we're getting there. And this thing is proving to be a great car. It's been a great tool to teach Rachel a bit about cars, and I'm just really happy to have this little thing. So let me know what you guys think. Are you enjoying the Miata content? Are you excited to see this thing get put to use? Let me know down below. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and of course, I'll catch you in the next one.